And I'm actually going to get right into it. And you really want to know how. How can I blaze my own path? How can I be successful? How can I follow the path that someone else has laid for me to be successful?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 224 of Campus Cuts. Today, I have a huge guest. He was actually somebody that I used to follow on Instagram right before I deleted my Instagram and before I started rebranding. Coach C. Davis, he is an international speaker. He speaks on diversity and inclusion as well as technology. And he's world-renowned. He's traveled. He has a great website. And he is somebody that is out on a mission to continue to elevate and inspire all people, but specifically give equitable opportunities for people of color to be able to work in and just work in spaces that are not necessarily for us. Primarily based in Silicon Valley. He actually just came back from living in Singapore for a year. And guys, you don't understand when he got on the call, I freaked because he is somebody that I look up to as a social media role model, but now being able to have a chance to connect. When he followed me back, and I was like, yo, life is crazy. And I'm super excited for the content that is going to come. Hope you guys are able to get some insights. Coach C. Davis, welcome to the show.
Man, thanks for having me. I'm grateful to be here, and and that was definitely a honorable introduction. So appreciate it, man. Much appreciation.
Man,
Mhm.
guys. Okay, I gotta collect myself. I've interacted with so many great people, but just seeing, man, just look at the power of social media. Like, why? How did you even find my page, and how did you even follow me?
Wow. So likely the podcast. So I actually recently launched a podcast myself, and
Okay.
so let's say it was the podcast gods.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah, definitely the podcast gods. Yep.
that's awesome. And so, before we start, I usually give, a small introduction. So, of course, Campus Cuts is an opportunity for, I describe it as a multi-generational and a multicultural show that brings faculty, students, and staff from all walks of life to the barbershop. I really big, of course, us being African American, there's something different about the barbershop that gives an opportunity for us to talk and be able to have discussions. But to see the thing is, though, I know for a lot, the barbershop is not necessarily the most safest space where everybody being included. So I wanted to create that
Hmm.
same atmosphere and create something what LeBron James did with the shop, how he brought all these different type of people. So I wanted to do that at Baylor, and then after that, it started taking a life to its own. And so I'm super glad that it's got to the point where you saw it and all that thing. So basically, how I start is, what is your name, your year, what institution that you graduated with, and then your hometown, and then after that, why you chose that institution, or basically why did you choose the path that you're on right now?
Dope, dope, dope. Yeah, so I'm Cordero, Coach Davis. As you may see me on Instagram, I am Coach C. Davis. I am originally from a small town in Mississippi called Cleveland. You'll probably hear it as the Mississippi Delta. So I am a Southern gentleman by way of the world. The world is my home, is what I call it. I'm 30 years old, and I chose to attend a East HBCU, West Virginia State University, where I majored in public relations communications with some focus in international studies. Also, I had the opportunity to pledge the greatest fraternity in the world, Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
Hey,
I
hey,
see
hey,
Dream
hey, hey,
Alpha in the
hey, hey,
background.
hey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Also on campus, I was the campus king, and so I represented my HBCU in America in 2012, 2013. And I sat on several boards to assist students in making sure that they had access to careers post college, which led me to founding the first business fraternity on my college campus. And so I think you asked, why did you choose a school? Well, I felt like my school chose me. It found me in a space where I didn't feel like I was going to be able to graduate college. I'm a first generation grad. My parents never went to college. My grandparents spent most of their time trying to raise me up, and the man that I am today, I have a lot of gratitude for both experiences. Not having an exposure and then having the opportunity to truly just go out into the world and figure it out. And so I'm excited to be on this platform. Campus Cuts, I think, is the perfect name for my experience as an undergrad student, because I feel like I still am a collegiate student. I'm still mentoring. I'm still investing in people's well-being if they are at my institution or any HBCU around the world. And I do that through my diversity and inclusion work, which means that I am building equitable experiences and access into Silicon Valley. Companies that I have worked for, Airbnb, Facebook, Indeed.com. Now I lead diversity and inclusion strategy at Visa headquarters for technology. And so my passion, my gifts, and my purpose is to make sure that people have access. Through this experience of transitioning from college to being world renowned, I've had the opportunity to travel to over 40 countries. I've had the opportunity to live into Shanghai and Singapore, and throughout that experience, I had some exposure into living in Hong Kong as well. I just appreciate culture. I appreciate people. I appreciate, my people of color, having the opportunity to say, hey, like, I can do that too. And so I live by this particular quote is we win together. So through my experiences, I wanted to expose everyone who has not had the opportunity to get passport stamps, have an international career, have the opportunity to work in Silicon Valley. I wanted to show up and show them that they can too, because we all had great people that we looked up to become who we are today. And so I have tons of gratitude for being here, man. Appreciate it.
Man, that is so amazing. There's so much that I want to dive into, and it's just in the sense because I really feel like, man, like God is crazy. I mean, I'm actually rereading The Secret, so that's why I ask you, like, the question, like, you believe the law of attraction is real? Because I know a lot of people say, like, hey, that's some boo hoo hoo hoo, but just the fact that this actual Campus Cut started because I formerly served as the director of diversity for Baylor Student Government. So, I mean,
Oh.
now the year ended. So, of course, and this was a platform because the responsibility that I had was I needed an opportunity. I'm supposed to go on listening tours, supposed to give feedback to student government and also
Mm-hmm.
some higher ups within the university to give feedback, right? Working with Dr. Elizabeth Palacios, who's an amazing director, coordinator, and Dr. Kevin Jackson, great people on my campus. And it's in the sense of, well, I mean, it's one thing for me to go to a meeting, listen to people, and then after that, say and report it back. But I'm like, I feel like I am, of course, because you said the communication. The communication barrier is going to be completely transfused. Like, it's not going to necessarily give the same effect as it coming from somebody else, right? So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
where is a way that can make it accessible where for people, if they want to listen to, be able to broadcast it in a way that everybody can get a chance. So I'm like, yo, and audio. I'm watching Gary Vee. Audio's the future. And it's just in that sense that, hey, man, people are always walking around with something and they're listening to whatever. And so they have the opportunity to do that. And, that's why I did that. And I really feel like we're just so similar in the sense of it's just that right there, we're able to truly dive in. And it's just like, man, you doing diversity and inclusion work. So I just want to ask, like, for you, how does it, as an African American male, mean to be able to continue to create equitable conversation for people?
Wow, it's definitely a journey. I feel mostly because while I continue to grow as an individual who grew up in very excluded spaces that were not as diverse and as equitable, I get to learn. I get to learn how to create those pathways, not only just for others, but for myself too. That means opening up myself to being the generational curse breaker. And I say that because a lot of us have instilled ways about us that have been passed down from family, from generations and generations, And yeah, I'm several generations, American, African American, and my family still has this, mentality around, complacency and comfort and fear. And so breaking out of those three areas have truly helped me not only build community for others, but build a community and a space for myself where I actually belong and I feel like I'm doing something that's purposeful. If we don't have a purpose-driven life, we are not we're not continuing the work that God put us on earth for. I felt like within like, shall I say, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when people started coming to me as if like I was like the workplace messenger, or the workplace, diversity advocate. Before I even got the job, people were coming to me telling me about their experiences. Oh my goodness, my manager, told me I needed to comb my hair, and this is a black girl who's like natural. And then another employee came and said, yeah, my manager was like, I need to handle all the black accounts because I'm the only black person on the team. And all these things start coming to me. And I'm like, hey, I've handled stuff like that before. When I was 16, in my first job, I was called a good slave by like an 80-year-old white lady
Wow.
who likely her parents were like, masters, and, all these other things that I don't want to think about. But she thought that good slave was a good thing. This is what she replied. She said, no, that's a good term. And in that moment, I'm 16, I'm a boy. I don't really understand what this really means and how it's impacting me. But what I had to do was I had to bring in community, and that community stood up for me and advocated for me. And when I started seeing change happen like that, that's when I knew that it was important for me to stand up for myself, not only stand up for myself, but make sure that I have community to support me, because our voices are louder when we have a community. Being one and being black is difficult, hearing about students every other week, or, just any type of, shall I say, lynching that happens to African American men is uncomfortable. You don't know how to show up at work the next day. You don't know how to be. But if you build that community and that tribe around you, you can get through anything. It helped me get through college. It helped me get through Asia. It's helping me get through Silicon Valley. And it's helping me get through becoming the man that God wants me to be.
Man, that is so amazing. And just to think about it, you said there was a point of time that you didn't even almost graduate college, and you were first generation.
Hmm.
I just want to understand like the deeper, like more of like a little bit of insight of like what happened and how you were able to get through it, and like and why do you think a college education is important? Because I know nowadays, and I'm sometimes struggling. I'm like, is it really important for me to go to college? Because now, like, just thinking about the world has opened up so much. But like, you're just like you said yourself, you come from a small town. So coming from a small town to now being a world-renowned speaker, like, how did that happen?
Yeah, man. Pain brings purpose, and I live within that mantra because I had to go through many painful moments to get to where I was and where I am. And I'll say a lot of that had to do with being exceptionally different, being exceptionally smart. So when I got out of high school, as I was graduating as a senior, I had several acceptance letters, several scholarships. I'm the first Michael and Susan Dale Scholar of the state of Mississippi, which is a $20,000 scholarship. They provide you with a printer, laptop, camera, all these necessities, and a mentor type of buddy program to support you through your college endeavors. And so I was also a Lucky Day Scholar. And through this Lucky Day program, it was in conjunction with the Michael and Susan Dale Scholars Program. Initially, I attended a predominantly white institution, which was University of Southern Miss. Once I got there as a Lucky Day Scholar, coming from this small town, I figured that I would stand out the way that I've always been standing out. Um, there won't be like, I won't have to culturally acclimate, but I did, and I wasn't prepared. When I got there, all of my friends, they were either rich or they had like support. They had the infrastructure to thrive through the experience. They had already been in inclusive environments. I wasn't. Even though I was in advanced courses as a kid, I predominantly went to school with black kids only, because when you live on one side of the track in my hometown, you can only go to one particular school. And so
Oh, still
I'm
happening.
sure you've heard of this. Yes, it's still happening. So now it's a slightly different. Within 3 years ago, even though Boyd versus Brown education law passed almost 60 years ago, well, my hometown high school desegregated 3 years ago, which means that we have been segregated for a long time. And so, but I was an honor student, so I had the opportunity to attend courses at the white school, but we were definitely, shall I say, discriminated against in many ways. And a lot of people of my friends didn't even thrive through the program because of the discrimination and the cultural nuances that we just weren't used to. And it was a journey, man, like going to this college and trying to figure out, where do I fit in? Definitely organizations were great. Definitely older students were good to have around because they were mentors and they could, assist you through your path. But that the daily infrastructure that you require as a first generation student on a campus that big, I didn't have it. And that meant sometimes maybe I needed a call from home and say, "You're doing a great job, keep it up." But I didn't get that. And then my grandmother passed while I was, a sophomore in college, and it really affected my sophomore year, and I decided to drop out of school. And so that dropout, I felt like I was not going to go to college again, but I ended up getting a job that led me to another job that led me to a director of student services at the time. This director took me under her wing, and her name is Sharon Smith Banks, and she empowered me to see what was deep within. She's also a HBCU graduate. She went to Tennessee State University. And this lady, she told me to come to her office and we're going to figure it out. And I went to an office and I said, "Hey, I'm not sure how I'm going to pay for books. I don't have money for that. I'm out here figuring it out. I don't really know, I don't have resources because I'm the first to graduate in my family, And so there were a lot of excuses that I gave in that moment, but she saw past that. And she found me, gave me money to buy my books to get in school that semester. I ended up having like a 3.8 GPA.
Wow.
And at the end of that semester, this woman said, "We have to get you in school full time. You are smart, you are able, and you're moving a shaker. We need you on this campus." And it happened. I left my job and I said, "What am I going to do when I leave this job? How can I take care of myself?" She said, "We'll find you another one. We'll find you a job on campus." And she walked me over to the HR office, and I was working that same week. And so for me, I felt like having angels and, shall I say, my tribe throughout this journey, being hella dedicated and invested in my well-being really took me to the next level. I had a 3.0 every semester after that. I had I joined one of the oldest Greek fraternities on the campus. My chapter is the Tall chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi, and we were founded in 1923. And so I founded the first business fraternity on campus. I was a part of like chief of staff for SGA. Then I moved to being Mr. State, and during my time doing that, I got to impact so many lives and so many people, And so your story can change at any day. And that's the importance of an education. That's the importance of getting your college degree. It's extremely valuable, not only to create a life that is going to be representative of not being the statistic, not being like our parents or our grandparents, but continuously breaking those curses is the reason why a college degree is important. When they roll out those statistics at the end of the year, you want to be included in those numbers to say that you are moving the Black community forward. This is what this is about. It's not about the paper. I went to school for communications. I'm not doing communications. It's a minimal part of my work. Public relations is probably a bigger part of my work because I love people. I work with people every day, and I'm a strategist, and I'm solution oriented, and so that's important. Those are some important pieces of my college experience. But that paper, and then that organizational leadership, and then those resources, having access to people in leadership that can make large change and large impact is very important. So don't just go to go to school. Even though things are changing in the world right now, there are still opportunities to optimize your collegiate career. And that means everything that you are involved of outside of the classroom matters. Corporations are looking for people who can handle multiple things at once, who can influence, especially if you're Black, And this is why I tell most brothers, I say, "Hey, I know you may have a great job and they may be taking care of everything, but if you can get some classes or some type of training or something just to add to that, that tells a different story. That tells us that, hey, you can drop out of college, have a baby, chill with your homeboys, but you got your education and your training out the way. That means you're gonna come with a skill set that a large percentage of us don't have. So if you're able to reach me and hear me right now and have access to me, I'm telling you, a college degree is extremely valuable. Sometimes it's the only thing you need to get yourself in the door. But the bigger piece of that is to evolve as a human being, evolve personally, professionally, the way that you communicate and engage with people, evolve. Evolving is going to truly change the trajectory of the Black man.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot of very powerful and valuable stuff, because I realized, I'm in that same, I was in that same position of, you know what, it's great that I'm going to college. I'm luckily both my parents did go to college, but I mean, I'm first generation American. Like, I was born here. They came, they flew over, and I was born here, and I've seen them, how hard they work. I've seen how hard that they were able to make sure that I had the opportunity. But sometimes, though, it kind of feels, I'm like, man, it's kind of vain, because, going to a PWI, I'm entering my last year this fall, if we do go back, Lord willing. But it's in that sense, and I would say I would have a pretty all right impact, and I'm very grateful for all the people that I've met. But I'm just saying, like, I'm just thinking about, how about, like, my friends who haven't, or my colleagues who aren't able to be able to have that. How can they be encouraged, and how they sometimes say, "Ah, man, college is not worth it. Like, I dropped out." But just hearing your story, man, and, like, just that idea of belief. Like, when did you realize that, you know what, it's time for me to bet on myself? And, like, obviously you are where you are today, but, like, in that process, like you said, you dropped out, like, you hear all these stories, all these, like, listen to motivational videos, and, like, there was a point of time I was rock bottom, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what to do. But then after that, you just come from the mud, and then after that, zoom. Like, explain that process of just, like, you know what, I really can do it. I really know how to do it. I'm going to do it.
Wow. And I think that really hit me um when my grandmother passed, because I had so much, like, hope and belief in holding on to those relationships were very sacred to me, because I felt like in a lot of times in my life that they were sometimes the only people who cared about my well-being. I felt like I had something to prove. Grandmother having like a fifth grade education, grandfather having like a second grade education. It was important for me to prove to them that, our family name and our legacy does not end with them. It begins with me. And that's what truly pushed me to just man, it's been a journey, literally. It just pushed me to do what I had to do. And I think if a lot of us think about, wow, where am I from? What is my foundation? What do I have to leave behind when I leave this earth? And for me, it starts with, as soon as you leave home as a 17, 18-year-old going to college, that's when you start to build your legacy, your brand. All of the basic stuff that you learned in high school and junior high school and elementary school, all of that is great, but take it to the next level once you get to your collegiate career, because it's literally a collegiate career. That's when you first start. And all of the things that I did at the first school, I was thriving in so many different areas, from organizational leadership to being really involved and being popular. That was great. But the school work piece, I could not um I could not grasp the teachings of the lecturers. I could not, the professors just I could not relate to them. And I really needed that representation to relate to me. Like, I am not like every boy in this room right now. So I'm not like every Black person in this room right now. When I went to an HBCU, people, professors and teachers would come to my desk and actually, engage with me and see what my learning style is, what they can, how can they change around their verbiage to be more inclusive and diverse. Here, we're going back to it. So including people from all different backgrounds and spectrums. That first university did not give me that.
Mm.
My second university did, and I felt like I belonged. And that's what drove all of those superpowers, because I call those my superpowers. When I'm not doing my schoolwork, what am I doing? I'm involved in making people feel good, building community, and making sure that students and faculty feel that it's a joy and a blessing to have students on campus, especially students that are making the campus green. Green meaning better for everybody. Green meaning inclusive. Green meaning positive. Green meaning, fun, but in a way that brings the campus good branding. And that's what I was always great at. I was also president of the PRSSA organization in college, Public Relations Students of America. If you're not familiar, but yeah, this organization truly like drove me to being the brand that I am now, and that's when I truly discovered it's time to take things to the next level. And so I have held on to that power of all of those different experiences to show me that it doesn't stop. I just got started. I just got started on this new journey. This
Yeah.
new journey, man. And that journey that when I did start back then, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whenever, that journey was only the baby steps into the bigger, more toddler step I'm about to take right now. And I'm really excited about what's next. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Like the journey in terms of like just like that growing and that development. So I mean, of course, everybody like after post grad, I know one of my things, and I'm just like, so what am I going to do after graduate? Like after I graduate, like I'm a neuroscience and theater arts double major with an entrepreneurship minor, and I'm just like, all right, cool. My mom asked me the other day, are you going to go to grad school? Well, I'm just like, I mean, I would love to, but I mean, like, how can we say that anything is guaranteed? Because obviously,
Mm,
I told my boy, hey, bro, we're gonna record this podcast when we get back to school, and then all of a sudden, this pandemic started. But I
yep.
mean, I have a dream of. I thought I wanted to go to med school, but I mean, the more that I realize it, I'm more inclined into like film production and media. So, like, I mean, so
Mm.
what was like the transition after you graduated for you into the work that you're doing now as the journey coach? And how did you really develop like that brand? And before I answer the question, I just want to say I really love how you just said that you're just getting started, because a lot of people my age are like freaking out, because my mentor, he's also was on the podcast too. His name is Professor Wayne Hampton. He's 65 years old, and what he told me was, and he's a multimillionaire, and he said, Tate Tanaka, the one thing though I want to tell everybody, I'm 65 years young, and I'm just getting started.
Yes.
And at 65, like, huh? If he's just getting
Yes.
started, so that gave me a lot of relief. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm chilling.
Hmm.
But here, like hearing you,
Hmm.
and you just turned 30, and that's a big
Hmm.
decade. Like, congratulations, because that in itself is
Thank you.
powerful. Like, and we think, oh man, 30's old, but really, like, seeing like, oh man, not what? 21-year-old
Yeah.
kid, or 21-year young kid talking to a 30 years young man, and I'm just like, and we're able to have a conversation like this. Like, age is really just a number, but anyway.
Definitely. Yeah. I think you asked me, what did you ask me again? I'm sorry, I got caught up.
Of course, I'm like, so after that, like,
Oh
how?
yeah, the journey. Yeah. So, man, coming into spaces like Silicon Valley being like, 99.9% white spaces where African American, Black, and Latinx, as well as even Asian American, which they have higher numbers, but we don't necessarily have a sense of belonging.
Mm,
And I say that from a standpoint of representation.
mm,
So most executive boards, especially back then in 2014 when I first got into Silicon Valley, most executive boards were all white men. Representation from a leadership standpoint trickles down into the recruitment process, company policies, the way that people see privilege, the way that people treat new employees, and the way that people even treat generational employees. And so for me, um, I got into this experience because I had already figured it out from the collegiate standpoint. I had a problem. I found the solution. Wow, I know I can help someone here. I got into Silicon Valley and I'm thinking like, hey, I'm gonna thrive. I'm working for Airbnb, I'm working for Facebook, I'm working for Indeed.com. But in all actuality, none of those companies were looking to invest, develop, and value the Black man at that time. The infrastructure wasn't there. So many times I felt alone, or I felt like I didn't belong, or I felt like there wasn't enough representation to make me even feel like this is a company that I truly belong in. And so it took me some time to truly go through many different situations. And the thing that triggered me was a manager told me, because I dress so nice and I take great pictures, I should go be a model. And she decided that it was important for her to make a decision to end my contract with this particular tech company. And yeah, and so being let go because of something very like bias, and I'll say discrimination, because I'm a Black man who really stood up for Black people at the time. This was when Black Lives Matter was happening, and
Yeah.
it was actually skyrocketing. And so this manager was, she was married to a police, and she felt it was her business to tell me that I should not be involved in things that were Black related or ERG related, because I was a contractor at this company. And so for me, it was a really defining moment in my career. Like, if these individuals are what I'm consistently seeing in roles of decision making, then this means that I need to have a backup plan. So I decided to leave that role. They paid me out. I was off work for like 4 months. And during that time, I invested in myself. Let's go back to education and training. I
Mm,
got a career coaching certification, and I have a success coaching certification. Those two certifications were the beginning of me building a resume building platform. Also, the opportunity for people to consult me for diversity and inclusion events and initiatives, corporate wise, and then also public speaking. I was definitely not as great of a public speaker. I still don't feel like I am working on it, but I was not this, shall I say, passionate about public speaking, but I knew that it was something that I could add to my, list of services that could add value to others. And because other people tell me all the time, hey, I want you to come speak, or this person, you need to talk to them, etc. And so I've created my own Black enterprise because it was important for me in that moment to not let the decisions of someone else tell me that I didn't belong in a certain community and environment
mm,
based on her experiences. And so for me, it was important to invest back in myself. Even though I had lost something, it was still a perfect time for me to invest in myself. And that's what I did. So since then, I've had the opportunity to consult in places like Singapore, Bali, Australia. I had the opportunity to consult major organizations, speak at great organizations across Silicon Valley and Austin, and you name it, I've likely been in the conversation. And on different levels as well. I'm excited for all of the exposure that I was able to create around being Black and being male and being um, um, not included.
yeah.
And I think the accepting that, I had to get to a space where I accepted that. Like mental health, we talk about that. This is a major topic for me and my therapist. Like I had to talk to this about her about this. Like, I think low key I may have a problem with dealing with white people sometime, because this is I've only seen bad white people. How do you define good white people? There's a video out right now, and it asks, how do you define someone that's good, that's white? And it's someone who stands up for you, who is advocating for you, who is an ally, not behind closed doors, but publicly.
Mm,
Someone who is sharing on their social media, we are all in mourning of, Ahmaud Arbery, you know what I'm saying? Trayvon Martin, etc. And so to be in an environment where, you know, there are so many white people, you need to make sure that they are being allies, intentional allies at that, and they're not sitting behind a laptop trying to boss you around or tell you to not speak on things that they know nothing about, but they're actually trying to educate themselves and learn and engage with you and your community. And so for me, I have kind of gained the same type of definition of what is a good white person, And I've experienced so many great white people. I don't have problems with them. But it's the ones who aren't aware, who don't understand their privilege, and who aren't being the allies as they should be. And that was a part of my purpose in becoming a journey coach, to help people through the journey of the workforce, particularly Black and brown people, and then to help corporations through the journey of how do we build that infrastructure and support, how do we be allies, and so because I've had exposure in both places, I made an early start, create a website, put my name on it, and invest in myself early to start having these conversations, to truly cultivate a powerful tech platform that would drive organizations for centuries and decades to come. Is what I'm striving for.
Man, that is so powerful. And the fact, I'm not sure, but I mean, like when you were just thinking about that, I follow this guy. I'm not sure if you've seen him, 19 Keys or Prince
Mhm.
Donnell, Dana Chanel, Earn Your Leisure, and just realizing that, like, noticing how these people are using it, like you're using technology, and are preaching about, or like they're trying to display and trying to be like being thought leaders, and you being your own, and how you were able to create an enterprise to not only about including that, but you created like your own thing, like being an entrepreneur. It's so funny because as of late, like I just had a lot of bunch of entrepreneurs coming on the show. I mean, because that's my minor, and like Lord willing, I was prophecy that I'm gonna like own I'm gonna own an enterprise, but like what I want to do is similar to
You will.
I will, man. But similar to
Mhm.
Devon Franklin or Nick Cannon, own like, but specifically, or Tyler Perry, what it says, a multimedia enterprise production enterprise that is going to change diversity of thought, that is going to bring people from all perspectives to be able to work, that is going to shift the entertainment industry. Because for like wanting to be in the entertainment industry and seeing how Hollywood is ran, most of these people, most of these corporations, the four big companies or the big six,
Mhm.
pardon me, they're like they're filled with people of not of color and not of
Mhm.
women, and they're showing these stories and seeing how media and technology is able to depict stuff. Because I was
Mhm.
noticing, like, whenever you search up on Google four teenagers just have white faces smiling. Whenever you write down four black teenagers, there's only one good picture of them, some boys having a mentor program, doing like yard work. All the rest mugshots. What you're doing,
Wow.
man, is so important, that the fact that you are going into these industries and you lived in there, and then after that you were able to take all the information and build on top of that and make it all. Wow. Wow. That is some powerful stuff, man. And that is an absolute, so to describe the entrepreneurial journey, like, and of course everybody thinks like entrepreneurship, they see how luxurious, how it gives you the freedom to travel, that it gives you the freedom, and you get the money, you get nice clothes. I mean, like, I love nice clothes. All my nice clothes are at school, but but I have a vision of a lifestyle, a minimalistic lifestyle, but also filled with like great quality stuff, because hopefully one day it will happen. But in the sense of, people see all the glitz and the glamour, but talk about more of like the journey and the struggle of like owning an enterprise, especially an enterprise that is talking about doing work that is specifically hard, because I know that can be very exhausting, and why and how you triumph over that.
Wow, yeah. So me coming into, particularly like I said again, an industry that has not had groundbreaking shifts. The only groundbreaking shifts that they've had is better technology, better coding, etc. They have not had a people groundbreaking shift. And I think that once you put the human in human resources, the human in corporations, the human in enterprises, you're able to truly elevate to the next level. And what I have had to do is I had to align my values a lot of times. Do I want to work with this organization? Do they meet my values, my core values, and I think that has been something extremely tough for me, because I'm a full-time employee and and an entrepreneur, and so I make sure that I go to work so that I can feed my business. That piece is important for me. A lot of time, added time, is spent. So usually when people are out and having fun on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm working. I'm usually working with clients, or I'm working on building some type of proposal, or I'm working on, oh, what I'm going to wear on this panel or something. I'm working on things when people are having fun. I do get to have fun, but it's very limited. So being disciplined, being in aligned with your values is very important. Sometimes you won't be able to, but if you need the money, I'll say, you know, have a very open-ended conversation, be transparent, and see what shifts and changes can happen. And then three, I'll leave you with worry about things that can, ultimately pay you while you're asleep. So right now, I'm actually in the process of creating an ebook and also working on some other really cool things. The ebook is priority, and I'm really excited to release this because this is going to be a body of work that I get to, put my stamp on and truly see myself helping people throughout their journey. And so, I name myself the journey coach, particularly because I feel like every day in life is a journey. Regardless of what section you're in, you are just getting started. And so, in this edition of my Just Getting Started ebook, is so important to my community, and I'm really excited to release that. So I am making money in my sleep, and so lock in those three things, values, um, also making money, monetization, making money in your sleep. And then the third piece is I forgot my first statement already, bro. The first piece was um, I'll leave you with like understanding like your purpose. I
Mm.
feel like that's so important as an entrepreneur. What are you doing, and how is it actually adding value to every facet of your life? I think that's extremely important because it has to align.
Because
Hmm.
I mean, for me, I did start a clothing brand, but then like it's kind of funny because I'm just like, well, I just kind of jumped ship. I had this idea for a long time, but then I was like, when I started really diving into the entrepreneurship journey and getting these mentors, I realized that, man, like you notice that most of these huge industries, or these successful small businesses, most of them have created a community where there's a niche, and that niche is filling a need rather than a want. And it's more of these
Hmm.
like these needs that are super essential. And the fact that you
Hmm.
created a need-based, solution-based enterprise that is going to continue to empower people is just so important, because I think that's why I get kind of jumped ahead. I'm like, huh. And so that kind of put me in a position like, all right, well, now I need to figure out in what way do I bring some sort of value. I know my friends,
Yes,
I believe that this podcast is providing value already in itself, and it's just so powerful, just the way that it see like transition. I actually had a friend named Lauren. She came on and she talked about like the COVID-19, also being Asian American and the effect on her family, and that episode blew up like another before. I woke up this morning, I woke one morning, I'm like, yo, and I'm so grateful, and I realized like it's not about me, but it's the message of how all these different people are providing a message of like giving their perspective.
hmm,
And it's just so powerful just to see that you are doing the work that is necessary to be able to hopefully bring. And like just to go on onto the tech point real quick, like, man, I love technology. I've been a geek and a nerd. Video games, from coding, learning how to code, and now from mobile applications, understanding social media. Because you know what, like that transition of like how were you able to use social media? Like realize, all right, rather than using social media as a consumer, how were you able to make that mind shift of becoming a producer of valuable content that's going to hopefully change and especially like portraying your journey?
definitely. So I think I've always had a very content technology mindset. Even though I grew up in this very small, segregated town, I've always been a geek, and I've loved that about myself. I think at the age of like 13, I was on MySpace coding. I was like doing, you know how you on Bebo and these different websites, you have to put those codes in for the color of the background. I did that, and I was doing it for my peers. I was doing it for, all my friends, and everybody was like, "Oh, how you get that picture back there? How'd you get this, etc." I knew all of this stuff, so it was important for me to um, tie in those early childhood experiences. How did something like this help me find um, friendship or connectivity or people like me? How did I even discover becoming me? And I would say it was definitely through those early beginnings of like diving into, was I like, when did I first start using technology? And I'll say definitely MySpace, LimeWire. Bebo, all of these different kitty, websites that don't exist anymore, of course. But this is how we were able to connect, and so cell phones, all of the early cell phones, I had them like since ninth grade, and so I was always like technology focused. How do I bring that into my everyday work? If I've used all of this tech, how do I bring it into my work? And which is right now I'm actually in a app building course, and so I'm actually going to transform my services into an application. And so I'm really excited about that because it's going to transform and take things to the next level. I would say technology is so important and valuable, especially at a time like right now. Um, Instagram, Facebook ads, LinkedIn, all of those three major resources are great ways to connect with people if you have a business and a service, no matter what the business and service is, because people are searching the internet way more now. I think it's up probably like 90 times as much as it was prior to. And so these are really exciting things because if you have an enterprise and it is, technology focused, it has a technology, you know, piece to it, you're going to be able to, triple your income in a short period of time, I feel. And I think it's the perfect time to level up on learning these different technology platforms, such as how to use Instagram to the best of your ability to, attract people. Like I had so many people reaching out to me on how to travel and how did you go to this place and what did you do? Now I'm turning all of the what did you do into an ebook. And so, having the opportunity to gain insight and shall I say demand from people that I wasn't really trying to like get insight from, they helped me figure out what am I going to do next? What is going to help me elevate and scale and move myself to this next level? Because I feel the level, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And so to rise above and thrive through COVID-19, it has been something very, important for me, which is why I launched a podcast called the Inclusive Living Podcast. And on this podcast, I'm only doing like 3 series, and they're going to be focused on rising and thriving above COVID-19. And in this 3-part series, I'm gonna bring in people who have been near and dear to me, but also movers and shakers around the world to just talk about their experiences on 3 different levels. I brought in a group that focused on, remote work. I brought in a group that's gonna focus on being a nurse or being in the medical field, and then I brought in a group that's gonna focus on gig work and being an entrepreneur. And so I think it's really important to have these cultivating conversations and to put everybody in your circle in a space where they can share and they can help others thrive and rise above COVID-19. And without technology, I wouldn't have been able to do it because my friends are in New York or they're in other places, Austin, Texas, or other LA. And so it was apps like Anchor and Zoom and Instagram, etc., have helped me create something that has touched, over 100 people in just, a couple weeks. And so really excited to have access to technology and then also to be able to share everything that I learned that's new because I tell people I'm not just a consultant within the work that I do. I am a technologist. And I'm a technologist because I utilize tech to make sure that people have what they need to enable people to, support people to deliver, deliverables to individuals in my organizations, to stakeholders. And so tech has definitely paved the way for me, not only just for my career and my pockets, but ultimately for my exposure, my access, and my knowledge on how to build an enterprise that can travel around the world without any marketing, without anything but a couple branded posts that you add on Instagram or you put on Facebook and people start sharing. So, yeah,
And
tech has definitely played a major role.
power right there. That is amazing. So, before I wanted to get into the next topic of, why it's important to have a global perspective, especially in terms of you having the opportunity to travel. I want to take a step back and understanding that, with your lifestyle, what were some of the things that you realized that, you came from a small town, like, how did you overcome the barrier of a lack mindset? Like, like saying like, you didn't have enough, or like the family said, we don't have enough, to realizing, you know what? I have enough. What I have is more than enough. but I'm also going to achieve it to the point where now you've manifested it and it's there and it's only continue to manifest more. Because that's why I feel like I'm right now. Like, I mean, shoot, I believe, I hope. No, actually, no, I will be a millionaire. But not for the millionaire for the sake of, oh, I'm going to have money, but to be able to continue to do that. But I've already done the practices of doing the small things of gratitude and already giving like I have enough or all this stuff. But what was your journey like to be able to pick up, turn that switch on and saying, forget the lack mindset. Let's go with more.
Yeah, I would say it's a journey. Healing and change mindset, um, and growth mindset is it's a journey, and I'm still on that journey. So don't expect to for it to change within a day or a couple of hours. But what you can do, the things you can control, you can manifest, you can affirm, and you can invest deeply in your curiosity, so that you can continue to learn and you can develop as a human being. And I think if you're not in a space to be curious and to learn, um, I can't really visualize you as a human being. And it's almost like you've shut yourself off and you are not becoming. In the words of Michelle Obama, it is important to continue to be on a journey of becoming. It's important to give yourself grace. It's important to affirm yourself every day. To continue to invest in yourself every chance you get, and to be around people who can um, manifest greatness in your life. Because even though you're speaking it, what did I talk about earlier? Community. Your community needs to be speaking it too. You're going to be a millionaire. 10 of your friends need to be saying that too. My friends say, you bossy, you a boss, you the bomb. Like, I admire you, I want to be like you traveled the world, you done this, et cetera, et cetera. I could be telling myself something totally different, but they are all just enthused by my journey and how I'm, really trying to level up and becoming the man that God wants me to be. And so I feel like it takes our community to be just as invested in our growth as we are. And so don't ever think that, just because someone, you know, did not always hear those words or did not have access to something or did not have the exposure and the education in certain areas of their life, doesn't mean that they can't get it. Doesn't mean that people aren't affirming that for them or investing in them to gain that experience, and that exposure. I think that one of my programs that I created within my current organization that I'm consulting at is called Access. And Access is an opportunity for everybody to feel like they belong. Access is for everybody, not just for people who know, but it's for the people who know to actually grow. And so by having access, you get opportunity to have that cross cultural experience of learning what are the barriers of someone not knowing what you know. And then what do I not know? You know, and being able to accept that and thrive in the knowing that you will know in the time that is due. Like you said, the laws of attraction is so important. Being able to cultivate spaces where people feel safe is another area where access is so important, because a lot of times, even when we're in these spaces, particularly focused, on diversity and inclusion, we still don't have the freedom to express. And so I've always been the person to raise my hand and say, I don't know. Can you tell me about that? What's that? I have a homeboy now who invests in stock a lot. I didn't grow up with the smartest, fiscally motivated family. And I had to learn all that stuff on my own. Like, what is the stock? Which ones do I invest in? And so now I'm like a 3-month time investor, and I'm like seeing my money go up on Robinhood, and I'm like, yay, this is great, And so
Yeah.
learning and being curious is like so important, because it feeds the soul.
Wow, that's amazing. And like with the I don't know piece, you've traveled to 40 countries in the world. That's a lot of countries. And how was that like? And why do you think it's important for us to be able to adopt a global perspective? And
Yes,
like, yeah, because you realize that
man.
in America, man, we're so close minded.
Yep, yep. Whew. I think that's the main thing that motivated me to just go. It was like some of it was work, and then some of it was personal leisure, and so a lot of it was just like, wow, like if I have access and opportunity and money, go. You know what I'm saying? Go in my 20s so that I could grow in my 30s, in my 30s. still trying to be 20, so that I can grow. And and so I decided to just go, man. And being on that journey of just going really gave me exposure and the access I needed to figure out what was meant for me, what journey and path that I want to be on, what type of work that I truly want to do. And I think without all the just go mindset, I wouldn't have been able to get any of that knowledge, and I wouldn't be sitting right here right now.
Wow, that's powerful.
And that global perspective has truly helped me because I can walk into a room sometime and I can hear Mandarin and I can speak it back. And then, whoa, now everybody has a new friend. So if there was going to be any bad blood or anyone opposing things in a meeting, now I've made the meeting go smooth because we've had this laugh and we've, spoken some Mandarin in the beginning. Um, that cross cultural experience and exchange is so valuable, more valuable than more valuable than your actual education. And so I would say I learned more being so culturally enthused versus being in a classroom.
Yeah, yeah. And as they say, man, experience trumps education a lot. Not all
Yep.
the time, but more often, more times than not. To be honest.
Definitely. I mean, because a doctor needs to go to school, but uh, someone who's in like a let's say like a people oriented role, HR, or in some level of like PR, branding, etc. I feel like these things can definitely be learned by the internet. And then someone who wants that international exposure, I feel that you have to be very intentional and you have to know what you want to do, and you can get it. And I was very intentional. I told my dean in my department and some of my professors I did not want an American 9 to 5 job. I didn't want that.
Likewise, that's what I'm. That's
Yeah.
what I'm. And see, the thing is, um, with that, I know people say hustle, but like, see, as I like, and I even have like an Instagram page called Hustle and Motivate. But then I see the thing is, I'm like, man, you know what? I don't like the word hustle because I feel like hustle is more of a manufacturing rather than allowing God to continue to flow. It's like, no, you're in the midst of flow, but that doesn't mean, of course, work hard. Work hard. So it's in the sense of I know for me, I know for a fact, I do not want to work a 9 to 5. Not because like I have anything against it or anything at all. And those people that are doing it,
Hmm.
that's so important and impactful in itself. But I know from my type of environment and the type of life that I envision and what the work I want to do, I'm just like having a 9 to 5 wouldn't necessarily. I feel like I would just be killing my talents in the way
Hmm.
uh, that I have them, and I'm just like, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's so much opportunity out there, and I just feel that you know um us people of color, and specifically black people, black men, black women, should be the first on the list to take those opportunities. you
Absolutely.
know we should be the first because guess what, we have been told that we can't do things for decades. We have been told that it is not possible for decades. We have been told that we are not enough for decades. We have been told that this is not our world, this is a white world, for decades, and that no longer has to exist. We can break those stigmas, we can break those it's so crazy. I feel like these are like household treasures in Black people's homes. Consistently being a Debbie Downer, and we no longer need Debbie Downer spirits around us. It's time for us to elevate, thrive, and arrive. And when I say thrive and arrive, I mean, that thriving piece, it could consist of that hustle. But that arriving piece is when you come into full circle and you are there and you have to take ownership of your work, which means that we need to be very productive, not be, shall I say, thrown into the group of the basket of crabs that continuously say that people of color are lazy and they don't get things done. We need to be consistent. We need to have a brand and understand our brand to the core. We need to have values and we need to live by those values. And that's what the arriving piece means. And so, whatever journey you're on, or anyone on this call, continue to do those things, and you're going to be amazing, particularly people of color. I would do anything for us to truly become the Wakanda that we all saw on TV.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now for the next segment, as we kind of get a chance to wrap it up, I know your time is very valuable. I asked like some three big questions for my guests as we get a chance to leave. So my first big question for you is, what would you like to see change in America? And this is just open-ended, not nothing directed. But what would you like to see change?
Wow, I would like to see, I would like to see workplaces become more inclusive and diverse and equitable for all people from all backgrounds, all areas of the world. That's truly what my heart, soul, and desire is. I want people to feel like they belong, they thrive, and that they have the resources and tools to be the best that they can be in their profession.
Okay, that's good. That's so good. Number two, what are three things that you would tell to your younger self? But you're specifically your 21-year-old self.
Wow, 21. Okay. This is when I actually went back to college. And so at 21, I would tell myself to wow, have some grace, have some gratitude, and then thirdly, be present. And I think that a lot of those three things matter for me because I was always so interested in what's next. What can I get involved in? What can I do? I never got to just sit with who I am and appreciate that and give that person grace and give that person gratitude for how far I had come. And so that's what I would tell my 21-year-old self because I wouldn't be dealing with those things at 30, you know?
That's amazing. And then for my last big question, you did touch on it on there, but like I guess sort of for like that reiteration, because I love ending this point, the podcast at this point. What do you want your legacy to be?
Wow, my legacy is to leave behind a workforce where people feel like they belong, they thrive, they're included, they are, I want to leave about behind a legacy where executive boards are all black people, all black men. They are black and women and Latinx people because I feel like we are so culturally tied. There is so much opportunity for our talent of color to thrive in these corporations and honestly build our own enterprises. I only create a world in my mind where employees are not going to work and feeling like um, this is this is going to be my last day, or this is not an employer of my choice because they're racist or they're discriminatory or they are not truly invested in my well-being. I want to leave behind a legacy where people can actually have these conversations where they have transformation within the workplace and they're able to become the best that they can be, not only for Black families and Latinx families, but for the world. Because once you invest in the Black man and the Black woman, you are transforming the world. You are changing the world, where jail cells are less overcrowded and workplaces are trying to figure out where am I going to sit these employees or how many people are we hiring this week. I want classrooms to be full. That is a legacy that I want to continue to share and leave behind and to continue to dream about because I too am a dreamer.
That's awesome, man. Well, my last final piece is an opportunity where I get to. It's called the Speak Life segment. This is my favorite part, where I get to speak life over my guests because, of course, James chapter 4 says, "Life and death are spoken from the tongue," and I'm a big believer that some words of encouragement and also giving people their flowers while they're here is very important. Um, Coach, I just want to say, first off, thank you so much for just giving your time to just a kid with a dream, with the podcast, recording in his closet. I know it's not
Yeah.
I mean, it is, and it means so much. And thank you so much for all the work that you're doing, the real work, the dirty work, the work that I know when people say, oh man, you're corporate now, or you wear a collar, and then saying that you're better. When the people at the top saying, okay, you know what, you're a model, get out of here. And living in that,
Yes.
the tension of the in-between. I talked with my mentor about that. And it's in the sense of you are doing the work that a lot of people may not take notice, the way that you continue to be a pioneer, the one that you're able to continue to speak life to any other people and bring equitable conversation. Just from your child and understanding and listening to your story is just so empowering and encouraging to not only me, but for the people that are going to hear this. And it's going to continue to expand the pound just to the masses and to the people you already are doing. You're living out the gospel. You are living out the gospel by taking people and making sure, you know what, how can we continue to make this at a point where our brothers and sisters can sit together side by side to talk, to laugh, to conversate, to really build up and understand that this is a world where all of us can be utilized, and for all of us, for our voices to be heard in the masses, where we can continue to influence and change the world for the better place. And so for that, I'm truly grateful. I'm truly grateful for your presence, truly grateful for all the things that you're doing, and I'm praying for success on your journey. And thank you for just allowing me to be part of yours for this hour. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, y'all. That is episode
Yes.
224. Hope you guys enjoy. And we are